Oh, another lorry. Good morning. Oh, diddly, 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 diddly. Yes. Never mind. I got away. You can see it out the back. You can see it out the back, can't you? Mr. Woolsey. Right, hang on. Sorry, bit of housekeeping first. Let's get the right glasses on. It's always a good idea to be able to see what you're doing. Look at the glorious sunshine. Another lovely day in paradise. Puffy white clouds today, and actually quite warm in the sun, although very windy. Went kite flying the other day. That was good fun with my 3-year-old granddaughter. First time she's ever flown a kite, and of course you're a bit hesitant, aren't you, about giving a 3-year-old a kite string. Just told her to hang on to it for dear life. She's already lost a Peppa Pig balloon. But it was nice that Paulton's, give them credit, they did just replace the balloon. They just gave her another balloon when we told them that it had blown away. But that was because the string attached to the balloon had separated. So she just left, because they weigh them down now, don't they? See, not in the old days you used to have to hold the string. Now they sort of tie a weight on them so that even if the child lets go, they don't lose the balloon. And that's because these things are so expensive nowadays, and that's because helium is now expensive. For some strange reason, every bit of helium that escapes just goes somewhere we don't know. It just goes up. It just keeps going up and up and up and up, and that's it, gone. So so there's a limited supply of helium in the world, you know. I mean, once that's it's gone. Mind you, I suppose that's the same for everything, isn't it? But they keep going on about how we're going to run out of oil, but then we keep, something always comes up in the nick of time, doesn't it? This is what I've learned about life, is that it doesn't matter how bad things are, something comes up. There's in the nick of time, something comes up. It always comes up. So if you're feeling a bit desperate at the moment, then just remember, in the past, things have always come up in the nick of time, and they will again. In fact, they do reliably. They are, events in life happen unreliably on a reliable basis. So, I honestly thought we were going to have trouble paying the wages this month, and then all of a sudden, something came up. I had a big job, just walk in, all of a sudden, happy days. So what should we talk about today? I honestly haven't got a clue. I have not got a clue. Fortunately, dentistry is an infinitely varied and also variable profession. Therefore, there's almost always something comes up every day that is designed to just tax you, wind you up. I had 2 SAR requests. SAR used to stand for Search and Rescue, but now apparently it stands for Subject Access Requests, and that's where people ask for their notes and x-rays, and we never used to get them. I mean, before the sort of freedom of information came in, then people didn't have access to their clinical notes anyway. And the whole point of an SAR is really to give the patient access to their clinical notes, so they know what the hell people are, the clinicians are writing about them. But that's not actually the way that they're getting used. But what's happening is that people are changing dentists, and they want their notes to follow them. And so what they're doing is they've somehow got this idea that they need to spend £10 to get their notes off their previous dentist, so that they can give them to their new dentist. And that's not at all correct in our case. I mean, if a dentist asks me for a patient's notes or a question about any aspect of the patient's treatment, we always reply, it's professional courtesy. Of course you do. I mean, you rely on that service from others in the same way as they rely upon it from you. It's, it would be terrible if that system broke down. And what we do is we say to the patients, look, you don't need to pay £10. Just ask your dentist to ask us for the notes, and we will send them direct, free of charge. Excuse me. but they choose not to do it that way. I don't know whether they don't want to approach their dentist and suggest that to their new dentist that they get the notes off the old dentist, or whether their friend has told them that that's the way it's done, or whether they want to have sight of the notes en route. I honestly don't know. But anyway, when I bought the practice, there was an associate working there and had been working there for a long time, and she worked there part-time and she worked somewhere else part-time. And when I bought the practice, I offered her a job. In fact, I went to the extent of redrafting the contract along the lines of every suggestion she made. I think we were on about the 12th or the 17th draft or something when she turned around and said no, she didn't want to carry on working at the practice, which, in a way it was good for me, because it made the finances a lot easier, because all the work that she would have done I ended up doing, and I keep 100% of it, whereas she would have taken 50% of it home. But I think she was just stalling, because she was sort of trying to negotiate her way into this other practice more full-time, and I think they hummed and hawed a lot, and so she was humming and hawing with me while they were humming and hawing with her, and so in the end she left. But then what happened was there's a pretty big exodus of patients, obviously, to her at her new practice, because it's not that far away. It's about sort of 10 miles away or something. So, and it's sort of better the devil you know, isn't it? People tend to stick with a dentist that they're used to. And I'm pretty sure that she contacted a lot of the patients directly. I can't prove that, but I'm pretty sure she did. And because a lot of them just moved without contacting us, and I don't see how they could have known that she'd moved and where she'd gone unless someone had told them, and we hadn't told them at that point because they hadn't contacted us or made an appointment or anything. So anyway, you sort of ask yourself, what can you do under those circumstances? What recourse have you got? And the answer is, as an incoming practitioner, you really don't have much in the way of recourse, because her contract was not with me. I think we started on the Monday, and she told me on the Sunday that she wasn't going to be signing the contract. And that was because I insisted that she signed a contract before she started work. In other words, before she came into the surgery on the first day that I bought it, we had to have a contract in place, a signed contract. Anyone who's listening to this who's got the slightest bit of legal nous will know that is a no-brainer, okay? I know a lot of dentists don't have contracts and never have contracts, and their associates come and go without contracts, etc., etc., or at least written ones anyway. But having spent my entire career sorting out problems caused by people who didn't have written contracts, only sort of verbal ones, and telling everyone really that to get a contract in place before they do anything, I didn't think it was at all unreasonable. We're on version 12 or version 17 of this thing. It was absolutely perfect from her point of view. We'd given way on every single point. Every single thing she'd asked for, we just said, right, that's fine, we'll put that in. Okay, that's fine, we'll put that in. And then on the Sunday, she just texted and say, no, I'm not, forget it. So, anyway, it turned out that I knew that the guy I bought the surgery off ran it through a limited company, and technically she had a self-employed contract with this limited company. So really, who's where's the liability? What can I do? I can't. She was never in contract with me. She was in contract with him, and she had part of her contract was that she's not allowed to work within a certain area, for a certain number of years, sort of thing. But the point is that limited company no longer owned the surgery, and the purchase price had already been agreed, and exchanged and everything, and so what do I do? Go back to the outgoing owner and say, I want to renegotiate the purchase price because your associate has let you down on your self-employed contract with her. Really, it's not. There is no recourse. You have to realise that if you take on an associate, there's a limited, very limited in terms of the recourse. What you have to do is you have to make the patients want to stay with you. Anyway, we've got a ton of these SAR requests, and I don't mind, because at the end of the day, they're all 10 quid, aren't they? You have 21 days to reply. You have to send them their records, whatever their records are. We send the notes and we send the x-rays. I think that is what most people would agree constitute the records. There are a few. How do you export the chart? The notes are really just the handwritten notes, like the text notes that accompany most of the treatment. I think is included in the text notes because the computer system puts it in the record automatically. But all the treatment plans are in a separate area on the computer, and the chart, for example, is not exported. But it's a moot point, you see, because why does it have to be done this way? And the reason is that most dentists cannot be bothered to ask for anybody's notes. Let's face it, give me 10 minutes alone with a patient and I'll tell you their dental history. It's not like you have a filling done and then it's difficult, it disappears or something, or you have a crown done and nobody knows that it's a crown. This stuff is pretty dead obvious. Even a chart, just a superficial chart, tells you 90% of what you want to know, and a pair of bite wings on top of that will tell you the rest. And if you don't want to do bite wings, if you say, like, if a patient comes to me and says, I've just had a checkup, and I think, normally I would do bite wings, and so I say to them, well, have you had any x-rays done recently? And they say, yeah, I did, 3 weeks ago, and I saw my dentist. And so I'm like, okay, in that case, I might then just ring up the dentist and say, can I have the bite wings, But even that, sometimes it's a bit difficult because the patient may not want you to contact the dentist, or you may not want the dentist to know that he's gone somewhere else or where he's gone, etc. And all that information does leak out when you make a request like that. And so sometimes it's easier with the patient's consent just to repeat the bite wings. And certainly much quicker, because dentists are terrible, especially corporate surgeries. You think corporate surgeries have this off pat, but they are really, literally terrible at because I don't think the corporateness of the corporate bodies extends down to the individual practices. They're all left in charge of a practice manager who is singularly less well qualified to manage a practice than the average dentist used to be. And so even in these days of digital x-rays, nobody knows how to export one. The common export format is a DICOM, and you won't get a DICOM. What you'll get is a scan of a paper photocopy of the bite wings, right? Which will have been printed out on their printer, or worse still, if they're on film, just put on a photocopier and photocopied, and they'll be appalling. The quality will be appalling, and have almost like 2% diagnostic value. And they'll be happy with that. It's not like they're sending it to you in an ironic way. They're actually like, oh, here's the bite wings, slap them on the old photocopier, there you go, copy of the bite wings. The days when you used to send it off to a copying service and get like a proper copy have gone. Those guys price themselves out of the market. That doesn't happen anymore. And even when it's a digital thing, they hardly ever send you the digital file. You're lucky if you get a JPEG. You won't get a DICOM. And what happens when you do it properly? We send everyone a DICOM. Now they've done an SAR. So these are going, for example, they're going to the patients. And do you think a patient knows what to do with a DICOM file? But I got no sympathy for them because they've asked for these effing records. They've asked for them, and I've given it to them in the industry standard format, which is, you know, there are many free DICOM readers online, and they know how to, or they should know how to read a PDF or something. And so for X-rays, a DICOM is only what a PDF is to a Word document. So, and then they say, oh, I can't find the X-rays, or I've tried to open the X-rays, and I can't. They won't open because they're trying to open them in Word or Excel or something. Oh God! And you're like, £10 is not worth the aggro. It's like, I suppose the government deliberately sets this cheap because they think, well, we want, you know, it's got to be really, really affordable for the patients. We don't want them to be deterred at all for asking from their records because it's going to cost 50 quid or something. And it can cost 50 quid if it's on paper, but all as a digital. So the most we can charge is 10 quid. And then by the time they've asked, I've had to deal with the email. They've rung up and said, where, you know, well within the 21-day limit, where are my notes? I've sent them through. We have to zip them up because sometimes the X-rays are too big to go by as an email attachment. And you're not supposed to send them as an email attachment anyway. They're really, you know, most emails won't swallow anything larger than a 10 meg attachment. And anything that's sent through email is completely unconfidential anyway and can be intercepted at any stage en route. So the whole thing should be encrypted. So then you say to yourself, well, what was the average patient? How is the average patient going to receive an encrypted communication? How are you going to, do they know anything about public key encryption? You know, have they got a one-time pad? Have they got a means to exchange a secret with you? Or should you just use their date of birth, or say, look, this is encrypted with your date of birth? And then, so okay, well, is that like 1805 91975, or is it 18975, or is it 180975, or what, you know? So what we do is we zip it up, we put it on Google Drive, we create a shareable link, and then we email them the shareable link on the basis that if they've got access to the email, then they'll get the shareable link and they can download it. So that then does away with any problems about a file size because you're not emailing them the attachment. So it's not likely that their incoming email will choke on the attachment, the X-ray attachment. But then, you know, but then you get this, oh, such and such a different email address has requested access to their file, and you think, oh, they've got their nephew to try and download it, you know, or they've asked the idiot receptionist at their new surgery to, you know, forwarded them the email and said, oh, here's my notes in case you need them. Answer, no, but you know, thanks for spending £10 anyway. So then you have to write back and say, look, I'm sorry, I can't authorise this completely random email to access your medical records unless you confirm that you're happy that email, you know, should access them. And at the end of the day, I think they're just, I mean, personally, I think they're silly anyway, because I don't think you should, I mean, there's no reason, I suppose, to say that they're silly just for sticking with a dentist they know. Obviously it's annoying. The only way you can combat that is to make sure that you're better than the dentist that they've followed, which you know, I think in our case we probably won't have much trouble demonstrating that. But you can't demonstrate it to them because they've already left. You know what I mean? They're just happy with that person, they're going to stick with that person and they don't want to change, so that's fine. I mean, you'd like them to hear via the grapevine that the surgery they've just left is really brilliant, wouldn't you? And that's the biggest mistake of their life ever leaving. But yeah, it's horses for courses. You know, you tend to get the sort of patients you deserve, I think. And so what happens is if you like endodontics, you end up with a lot of people who need endodontics. Because you do a few and, you know, you work a few miracles and people go and say, like, you know, every dentist told me that this tooth was doomed and couldn't be saved, and then I went to see old Angry and he's managed to root treat it and save it, and it's been brilliant, and it was fine, you know. And so what happens is, I know so-and-so needs a root treatment, and he's been told that nothing's going to work. And so you tend to attract business like that. And it's the same if you're an oral surgeon, you'll just get oral surgery. And if you, if you do post crowns on paper clips, and which fall out every 2 or 3 years, then you'll tend to attract patients who don't mind if they have to pay for everything every 2 or 3 years. Well, considering we didn't talk about anything at all, that was quite a long discussion about nothing, wasn't it? It's Tuesday. Got a busy day today. Hygienist comes in today. Always a busy day. Anyway, hope your day is busy. Have a nice one, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, bye.